Okay, let me conclude by talking a little bit about what I think that the master algorithm will enable that we cannot do today. Okay? I have four items here. There are, of course, more, but I think these four give a good sense of just how momentous a development this would be. The first one is home robots. Right? We would all love to have robots that, cook dinner for us and do the dishes and make the beds and whatnot. But why don't we have them today? Well, first of all, it can't be done without machine learning, right? There's just no way to program a robot to do all the things that it might have to do. But second of all, the learning algorithms that we have today are not good enough. Because a robot, a home robot in the course of a normal day will run into all 5 of those problems multiple times. So it needs to be able to solve all of them. So with the master algorithm, we're on our way. That without it, I think it'll be much, much harder and much slower if we ever get there. Here's another one. Everybody, including, of course, Google, has a project to try to turn the web into a knowledge base, right? Instead of, issuing keyword queries and getting back pages, what I'd like to do is ask questions and get answers. But for that, all the knowledge that's on the web has to be represented in a way that the computer can reason with. Something like, for example, first-order logic. On the other hand, the web is full of contradiction and noise and gaps and whatnot, so it's going to be very noisy, so I need probability. Okay? So again, I need to be able to combine those 5 types of learning in order to really be able to extract these knowledge bases from the web. Okay? Here's perhaps the most important one, cancer. Why haven't we cured cancer yet? The problem is that cancer is not one disease. Right? Everybody's cancer is different, and in fact, the same cancer mutates as it goes along. So it's very unlikely that there will ever be one drug that cures all cancers. The real cure for cancer, or at least that's what an increasing number of cancer researchers believe, is something like a learning program that takes in the genome of the patient, the medical history, the mutations in the tumor cells, and predicts for that tumor what is the drug that's going to kill it without harming the patient's normal cells, okay? Or maybe the sequence of drugs or a combination of drugs, or perhaps even a drug that will be designed from scratch for that particular patient, okay? In some ways, this is not a very different problem from, recommended systems that recommend a book or a movie to you, right? However, what they do here is they recommend a drug. The problem, however, is that this problem is orders of magnitude harder than the problem of recommending a drug or the problem of recommending a movie or a book, right? You have to understand, how the cell works. You have to understand, the interactions between the genes and the proteins that they make, and then they go back and regulate the genes, and it's when this machinery gets out of whack that you get cancer, okay? The good news is we actually have a lot of data to do these things like microarrays and sequences and whatnot. But again, with the learning algorithms that we have today, we're not going to be able to do it. With something like the master algorithm, we will be able to do it. Okay, finally, apropos of recommender systems, let me mention this one. What I would really like to have as a consumer is not 500 different recommended systems recommending 500 different things to me. Netflix recommending movies, and Amazon recommending books, and and Facebook selecting updates, and Twitter selecting tweets. And what I want is a complete 360-degree model of me, learn from all the data that I generate. Okay? And then that model knows me much better than all these tiny little models. And as a result, can make much better recommendations. Okay? And not just recommendations of small things, but recommendations of jobs, recommendations of houses, recommendations of what to major in. Or, oops, I guess I skipped this slide here. As the former CTO of the federal government said, if we use these things, we can actually have a recommender system that is in essence your best friend throughout your life, recommending the things that you need at every step. Okay? And again, in order to do that, we need not just the data, which increasingly we have, we need the algorithms that are powerful enough to learn that rich model of you. Okay? More about all of these things in the book, The Master Algorithm.